All right, gonna draw pictures while playing videos I taped. Some Nailsin ratings, some Nailsin news that I don't know if I even put them out yet. I think some of them I did live and some of them I did. I can't even remember. But I've went back in and put in the little corner art and stuff on that. So, you know, it's a more complete package for those. They'll be up in the corner, right here. And then perhaps, but maybe not, stories, UFOs, Bigfoot, stuff like that. And I don't know, I'll just draw whatever. There's a story about a potential Ghost Rider movie. And so I guess first drawing, I'll attempt to draw Ghost Rider. And this should have started 2 hours ago, but I've been having all these problems just with, I don't know, the technical aspect of it. The internet would go, it was acting wonky and whatnot. And it was weird. And I didn't know if it was OBS or what have you. But it would certainly mess up and everything. And once I jumped out of OBS on Pat's show the other night, it seemed to work out okay, so I just didn't have any OBS. But it's weird, but is it going through now? Okay. Is it going through now? There we go. You just never know with the, well, of course, that's Evie Mux, though. That's not the other stuff. I don't know, though, but the hang-ups and everything, I don't know what that is. All right, apologies. When, Lord, when will it actually work? I don't know. Anyway, all right, I'll get started. We'll go ahead with the Ghost Rider story. There we go.
Ryan Gosling keeps Ghost Rider hope alive. Confirms Marvel talks have happened. And that's the headline from Comic Book News.
I
and
can't
it tells
hear
the whole
it.
story. This is the first I'm hearing that he had interest in Ghost
So
Rider.
it doesn't
Apparently
play.
This has been going on a while. But even in this, art here, probably fan art, AI, maybe, I don't know. He does look the part, even more than Nicolas Cage did, of course,
All right.
to play Johnny Blaze, the original. So, let's see what's going on here. Ryan Gosling is still keeping the Ghost Rider dream alive while promoting Project Hail Mary. In a new interview with Josh Horowitz, Gosling was asked point blank if now was the time to finally announce he is playing Ghost Rider. Well, Gosling laughed it off, but he also did not shut it down. Instead, he answered, "We keep hope alive," before adding that some discussions have been had, and calling it a complicated situation. Well, the money and scheduling and the money and, the approach and the money. Gosling did not dodge the question by saying there is nothing to it. He did not deny meeting with Kevin Feige and Marvel. He did not act like Ghost Rider is off the table. He said discussions have happened, which is enough to keep the speculation going. Oh, yeah. That will only add more fuel to the long-running fan campaign pushing for Gosling to take over as Marvel's spirit of vengeance. Well, let's hope it's not just some silly cameo in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars, like what happened with Mr. Fantastic in the Doctor Strange movie, Anyway, Josh Horowitz has also been part of that push for a while, previously bringing Gosling's interest in Ghost Rider to Kevin Feige's attention. Well, Horowitz also asked Gosling why Ghost Rider is the Marvel character he keeps coming back to. Gosling's answer was simple. Just a feeling. When Horowitz jokes that Gosling probably wants to set his face on fire, the actor agreed. The interview also turned funny when Horowitz brought up Eva Mendes, Gosling's wife. I didn't realize those two were married. Who starred in 2007's Ghost Rider movie with Nicolas Cage. Horowitz joked that this has to be a sore point at home since Mendes has already been in a Ghost Rider movie and Gosling has not. Gosling responded, "I'm just happy one of us got to do it." The timing of the Ghost Rider comments comes as Gosling is again out promoting Project Hail Mary, the sci-fi film based on Andy Weir's novel. The film opens this week and is getting rave reviews by both critics and from early fan screenings, with current Rotten Tomatoes scores of 95% and 98% respectively. Well, it must be great. Then, of course, there's that other sci-fi film he's involved in. Starfighter from Star Wars. Hey, that's from Lucasfilm, which is owned by Disney. Then there's Ghost Rider, a character a part of Marvel, and Marvel Studios is owned by Disney. Wow, I guess talks really are. Yeah, the talks have happened. Is it Ghost Rider? Probably. A lot of people get approached for Marvel roles, Some people were absolutely, banging on the door for Marvel roles. I don't know that that's the case lately. But again, the money, talk about that. The scheduling, of course, the money, and what the approach would be for the character, and all that. And maybe even a script. Probably just an outline. And then, of course, the money. And so then you have a deal. And, of course, Marvel would be looking for someone to name like Ryan Gosling. And, boy, if he has a current movie that's really hot and under his belt, then he can up the ante on the price for some Marvel movie, couldn't he? Now, a Ghost Rider movie would be really cool. Seems pretty simple that you could pull that off, And then, you have your discussions about how to incorporate it into further Marvel stuff. They could always just kind of center an own little pocket universe within the MCU concerning their supernatural characters. So then Doctor Strange comes in and stuff like that. And there you go. You could do that. You could also have your little pocket universe of your street level heroes, Daredevil and Spider-Man and Punisher and stuff like that. You could have done that, Is there time for them to still do it? I don't know. But seems like a no-brainer, but lately MCU would find a way to ruin it, perhaps. But maybe not. Maybe not. So anyway, odds are, yeah, there's been discussions of him playing Ghost Rider. Hopefully, again, more than just some silly cameo thing, Jeez always. So, yeah, or it's something else entirely. He probably, who knows, over the years he might have been approached a couple of times for other characters as well, and now this thing is like, look, we're really desperate, and there seems to be a fan desire for you to play this role. Let's just give it to him. Yeah. Who'd have thought of that, So, maybe there'll be a Ryan Gosling Ghost Rider coming soon to a theater near you. Ryan Gosling keeps Ghost Rider hope alive, confirms Marvel talks have happened. And that's the headline from Comic Book News, and it tells the whole story. This is the first time hearing that he had interest in Ghost Rider. Apparently this has been going on a while. But even in this, art here probably fit. Everything is so spotty, I can't tell when it's running or when it isn't. Jeez. So, I don't know. Maybe you heard that, maybe you didn't. But they're apparently in talks with Ryan Gosling to play Ghost Rider, the Johnny Blaze version, the original one. And there you go. Maybe that's in what some refer to as the hopper. Yeah. All right. There we go. We'll go to some Nailsin news, I think. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Mom tried to ditch her 8-year-old son multiple times, including at a cemetery, farm, and laundromat. You know, there's that law where you can leave your child at a hospital, you know, and no questions asked. You just do. Cemetery, farm, and laundromat. Yeah, those aren't better options. Hospital's probably better. That's what I would say. Oh, good Lord, it's a local story. A 43-year-old Louisiana woman repeatedly tried to abandon her 8-year-old son, dropping him off in places such as a cemetery, farm, and laundromat before driving off. Jeanette Edmonds, 43, stands accused of cruelty to juveniles, child desertion, and criminal abandonment, which I would guess would be the same thing. But I suppose criminal abandonment of an elderly parent and stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway, Ponchatoula Police Department said in a Facebook post that its officers responded about 2 p.m. to a call for an abandoned child at a local laundromat. Witnesses said they saw a woman driving away, leaving the boy behind. Officers took the boy to the police station while cops looked for his mother. Well, we had him here for quite some time, so we went and got him some McDonald's and put on some cartoons for him. Ponchatoula Police Chief Bry Larison, I don't know, told the Louisiana Radio Network. Eventually, Edmonds was located roughly 60 miles away in Harvey, which sits on the Mississippi River just on the other side of New Orleans. Cops took her into custody. Police learned that this was not the first time Edmonds had allegedly tried to ditch her son. First, she attempted to leave him alone in a cemetery, but he was able to get back into the car. Then she allegedly tried to drop him off at a nearby farm. It's unclear if Edmonds abandoned the boy as a form of punishment, or out of frustration, or for another reason. Huh. She never acknowledged any reason for why she abandoned the child, and at no time did she ask the detectives if her son was okay. Larison told the outlet, adding that the boy's doing fine. Yeah, he's no longer in the custody of this evil woman. She can't have the child back. You know that, right? Edmonds is now at the Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office without bond. Okay, this is starting to make a lot more sense. Tangipahoa Parish. I don't know how many weird stories come out of that place. This was the infamous parish where the girl melted into the sofa, you know. Okay, something going on there. That's where the honey, what is it? The Honeywell? No, is it? Damn it, I'm forgetting the damn name of the swamp, but it's this little swamp area with an island in the middle of it. And there's supposed to be this Bigfoot-like monster living there. See? It's supernatural. So, yeah, she needs to do some time, and if she wants early release, she might agree to, like to a hysterectomy or something. So you don't have any more kids, and she can't have custody of her son because something wrong there. I'm no expert, but there's something wrong there.
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Mom tried to ditch her 8-year-old son multiple times, including at a cemetery, farm, and laundromat.
What did it do? Just repeat again?
You know, there's that law where you can leave your child at a hospital, you know,
and no questions asked. You just do.
Yep, apparently so. All right, you're going.
Cemetery farm and
Jeez. I don't know. What the dealio? All right. Well, maybe I'll go through one of these. If it'll show up. There it is.
A retired Air
There we
Force
go.
general suddenly goes missing. This particular retired Air Force general also just happens to be a UFO expert. Coincidence? Perhaps, but maybe not. Over 600 New Mexico residents had been alerted by authorities to hand over their home security footage as the bizarre disappearance of a retired Air Force general and UFO expert entered its 11th day. Investigators contacted the Albuquerque homeowners to gather the home camera footage and information in an effort to track down William Neil McCaslin, 68, who vanished without a trace from his home on February 28, 2026. Local authorities, working alongside the FBI, said they've received dozens of tips in the missing persons case, although none have yet to bear any fruit. While none have resulted in a confirmed sighting or led directly to Mr. Caslin's location, investigators are continuing to follow up on every piece of information received, police said. McCaslin left his phone behind when he mysteriously disappeared on foot from his home. Authorities have issued a silver alert for the retired general, but an investigative journalist warned the case amounts to much more than a missing senior citizen, calling it a grave national security crisis. This is a man with some of the most sensitive secrets of the United States in his head, journalist Ross Colfart said in the latest edition of his Reality Check podcast, adding that McCaslin possesses deep knowledge about what the U.S. government might be hiding regarding extraterrestrials. The timing is screechingly relevant. The fact that General Neil McCaslin has disappeared off the face of the earth is a grave national security crisis for the United States of America. His disappearance came just days after President Trump announced in a Truth Social post that he was directing the Department of Defense to prepare the release of files related to UFOs and extraterrestrial life. During his military career, McCaslin headed up research at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, a role in which he oversaw classified space weapons programs. The base near Dayton, Ohio, is rumored to be in possession of extraterrestrial debris allegedly from UFO hotspot Roswell, New Mexico. In the meantime, anyone with information about McCaslin is encouraged to text BCSO to 847411. Call the Sheriff's Missing Persons Unit at 505-468-7070 or upload information through the community contact. So, was General McCaslin abducted by aliens because of his... So, was General McCaslin made to disappear for his information and knowledge of extraterrestrial life? Or did he just wander off? can happen to elderly people. You just don't know. Perhaps, but maybe not. A retired Air Force general suddenly goes missing. This particular retired Air Force general also just happens to be a UFO expert. Coincidence?
Did it again.
Perhaps, but maybe not.
All right. I don't know if there's been any updates on that case. The guy just disappeared. And, you know. But, you know, he was retired, and maybe there was problems, and sad and all that. But, yeah, I hadn't heard anything else, if he's been found or not. But, of course, then he goes, they're getting ready to reveal something, and then he disappears. Could have been it. But anyway, there's Ghost Rider. Tried to do it in the style of his original corner box art that he used to have on the old comics, you know. But anyway, I guess that makes the first reading. Oh God, it's like walking through mud.
Will James Gunn become DC's Taylor Sheridan? No.
Man, if it just gives out on the
nowhere near
OBS, they won't be able to see the
Taylor
drawings.
Sheridan. I mean, he just doesn't have
This
the
just sucks.
backlog of massive success that guy's had. Anyway, his conspicuous absence from David Ellison's first meeting explained. Oh, really? Okay, maybe, you know. Well, he's getting ready to do Man of Tomorrow, so there's that. He's busy. Or maybe he had a cold. Anyway, is James Gunn leaving DC Studios? Seems likely, but, you know, maybe not. This is the lingering question after the Superman director failed to show up for the first meeting with his incoming boss. Well, the question's been around for quite some time, long before this. You know, even before the deal was settled. I mean, it was even dubious if Netflix had ultimately won whether he would still be around. So, come on. Anyway, a lot of DC Studios now depends on the answer to this question, which in turn depends on the version of David Ellison that meets James Gunn when the ongoing Warner Bros. Discovery Paramount Skydance merger is completed. The formal excuse for Gunn's absence will likely be that he is held up in Atlanta filming Man of Tomorrow. Well, all right, you know, I mean, it could be. You know. However, that doesn't fully explain his absence from a 45-minute meeting that could determine the fate of one of the biggest comics franchises in the world. James Gunn's contract at DC is set to expire in the spring of 2027, having been extended for just a year, as it was initially set to end in 2026. This puts him in the same position as TV juggernaut Taylor Sheridan when David Ellison took over Paramount in August 2025. Yeah, he's not in the same position. I mean, he's the head of a studio. You know, and Sheridan was the head of, the Yellowstone projects and stuff like that. But I don't know that Gunn's going to get the same offers that Sheridan got. Anyway, Paramount Skydance's acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery is set to bring about what is probably the biggest shakeup in Hollywood's history. And one man is at the center of it all, David Ellison. The Paramount Skydance CEO had his first meeting with the leadership of Warner Brothers in what is largely seen as a victory lap ahead of his company's $111 billion acquisition of the entertainment giant. Well, yeah, but it's also something he needs to do. I mean, you bought it, you better check it out. Ellison's introductory meeting touched pretty much everyone that matters at WBD, with 150 senior employees physically present and another 300 attending via video call. See, why couldn't Gunn do that? DC Studios creative CEO James Gunn's absence was therefore hard to miss, seeing as he was the mind behind one of the company's best performing films in 2025. Was it? I think Minecraft did a lot better than Superman. And entrusted with billions more to fund his sprawling dream for the revamped DC Studios. A lot of projects seem to just, if not outright canceled, just not talked about anymore. Well, the acquisition won't be completed until at least September 2026. DC Studios employees have already have an idea of what is coming after watching Ellison and his team's tumultuous entry at Paramount. The merger between Ellison Skydance and Paramount saw more than 2,000 employees laid off. This happens every time there's a merger. It's nothing new. So yes, it will happen at Warner Brothers as well. Surprisingly, the job losses at Paramount cut across the board, with senior executives facing the axe just as much as the junior staff. The one surprise exit at Paramount, however, was Taylor Sheridan, the man behind the hit Yellowstone franchise, which was almost solely responsible for PP's 78 million plus subscribers. During the transition, Ellison personally acknowledged Taylor Sheridan's immense contribution to the company's robust content output. However, a few months into his tenure, cracks emerged as the new regime failed to attach the same value to Taylor Sheridan as their predecessors did, leading to TV's most prolific creator of the last decade signing for a rival 18 months before the end of his contract. Well, I guess they thought the grass was greener. While James Gunn doesn't enjoy nearly as much freedom and budget outlay at DC as Taylor Sheridan did, and he hasn't achieved what Taylor Sheridan did. He just hasn't. Sorry. The two creative minds have a lot in common. Not a lot. A bullish attitude is the one thing likely to put Gunn on the same path as Taylor Sheridan. Yeah, but is he going to be sought out by others at the price that Sheridan got? According to the Hollywood Reporter, Taylor Sheridan didn't take lightly to the new administration constraining his ideas, canceling one of his movies, and questioning his budget. Well, look, if they don't have the money, they don't have the money. Ellison and the new regime also seem to value Sheridan's work more than the man himself, as they failed to offer him a new deal when his movie contract was almost out, although they were still interested in his films. Paramount even made a last-ditch effort to try and derail Sheridan's deal to produce and direct Fast for Warner Brothers, although that doesn't matter now that they are in charge of the company. With no new offer at hand, NBC Universal swooped in and successfully courted Taylor Sheridan with a billion-dollar deal that will seemingly give him the same wriggle room he had at Paramount before the merger. So, basically, I guess Ellison wasn't willing to pay him $1 billion to stay. So, no one's. Who's going to offer James Gunn $1 billion? And I mean, this, $1 billion.
to come work for them. Yeah. Anyway, while there are no reports of a big suitor coming in for Gunn, his contract situation at DC Studios is highly precarious. Warner Brothers chose to extend Gunn and Peter Safran's contracts as co-chairman and CEOs for just 1 year, despite entrusting them with the fate of the DC universe. While a year is better than nothing, it is not the contract you give to someone who has just launched a franchise set to rival the MCU, which has been around for nearly 2 decades. Yeah, well, they just launched it, and it fizzled. I mean, you got to acknowledge this. Superman needed to do way, 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 way better than it did. And it didn't. That's a problem. Then he follows that up. Oh, yeah, Taylor Sheridan, he's the king of television. Well, Gunn goes into television with Peacemaker Season 2, and that thing was awful. So, plus no one watched it. That decision put Gunn's future squarely in the hands of the new regime, which will likely only renew his contract if the numbers are right, of which they are not. There you go. Yeah, that's the problem. So, it's like if they ask him to stay, you go, huh? That would be more of the surprise than him leaving. On paper, the fate of the revamped DC Studios is tied to James Gunn's Superman. Well, to James Gunn. Superman, the first official movie of the DC Universe, wasn't the huge success initially touted by the company. Finer details confirm the film is one of the most expensive superhero films ever made. Ted Sarandos, the CEO of Netflix, which was in a well-advanced position to acquire DC's parent company, also poked holes into the film's numbers, suggesting it underperformed in the theaters. It did. Yeah. However, the film largely served its purpose by galvanizing the fan base. Okay. Although Gunn's tenure will now be pegged to the rest of the projects in Gods and Monsters. He's already dropped that. He talks about the Superman family saga. So you got Superman, you get Supergirl, then you get Man of Tomorrow. The end. That's the Superman family saga. He doesn't talk about Gods and Monsters anymore. And it's supposed to be the first chapter in the revamped franchise. Yeah, I know, but... Anyway, it means James Gunn's career at the helm of DC Studios could come down to Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Clayface. Now, Clayface, again, they're doing it on the cheap. So, it could eke out a profit. But that's not enough to overwhelm people to say that, hey, James Gunn's our new Taylor Sheridan. No. DC is also in a race to keep up with the MCU. Why? Just don't do anything and you'll be ahead. A mission massively boosted by Superman becoming the highest grossing superhero film in 2025. Really? Yeah, it did beat out Fantastic Four. And, of course, I don't know. Marvel can say, well, we had 3 films. They only had 1. I don't know. But, again, it's like, got to beat Marvel. That's not saying much these days. Now, granted, this year, however, the MCU's lineup of 2026 includes Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday. Yeah, and you've got Supergirl and Clayface. That's not gonna beat those movies. There's no way in hell Supergirl's beating Spider-Man. So, whoops. And so DC just doesn't have anything in his roster to rival the two, which means Gunn needs a miracle to replicate his 2025 success. It's 2025. It's not that big of. It's not a success. Superman, it couldn't even be just a good movie. It needed to be a great movie, and it needed to hit $1 billion. It didn't. So, yeah, this comparison between him and Sheridan, he hasn't achieved the Sheridan success. You can say that with Guardians of the Galaxy and the MCU. Now, look, Sheridan over at NBC Universal may fall flat on his face. I don't know. And then I guess it would be kind of similar. The Gunn had big success with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Not so much here. So anyway, like Taylor Sheridan, James Gunn's reputation speaks for itself. His creative genius has seen some of the best superhero films come to life, from Suicide Squad. Look, I liked Suicide Squad, but most people really didn't. Now, granted, it was still in the latter days of COVID lockdowns and that sort of thing, so you can chalk that up to it as an excuse why it didn't do as good. Guardians of the Galaxy is his big win. You know, and he's done other movies that are cool and everything, and they're fun, and that's where they have their own charm to them and that sort of and all of that. But they're not in league with these giant movies that are supposed to prop up major studios. You know, so Superman didn't do as well as his Guardians movies, and Supergirl: Woman of Tomorrow, he's not directing it, but his influence is all over. You can already see it. It's Supergirl meets Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, Gunn's signature humor and ability to turn forgettable and unappreciated comic book characters into legends on the screen are unmatched. Again, he did that with Guardians, and of course, pretty much rewrote all the characters. They're not really characters from the comics. And then Suicide Squad, again, I liked it. The first season of Peacemaker was really great. That second season, holy crap, what the hell? No, he hasn't really to get the title of genius and that he's really achieved this great wonder. No. And you're comparing him to Taylor Sheridan, rather, who did that with television, Yellowstone. Gunn, other than Guardians, he hasn't done that. And Guardians is in the past. Unless he can go back to Marvel after losing DC, man. I don't know. Maybe he revisits it. I don't know. However, despite entrusting him with such a huge project, David Zaslav and the Warner Brothers hierarchy failed to secure his dream with a longer... They failed. They failed? He didn't deliver. You understand? You know, he can't deliver on something that they put that amount of money into. And they're banking an awful lot for the sale of Warner Brothers, which they've succeeded in doing that. That DC is this IP brand that they can really use. Yeah, you really got to reconsider. Like, you know, I think he and Safran are placeholders for the moment. You know, that's why they didn't give him a longer contract. That's obvious. You can't just keep buttering this up with nothing. Everything at Warner Brothers really seems to have been designed to make 2025 a huge success, to flip the sale and leave the future to the new owners. Yeah, that's what Zaslav was doing. That was always the plan. He basically bought a house. He fixed it up here, got some new paint and that sort of thing, and then sold it. He's a house flipper, you know. The fate of James Gunn and Peter Safran at DC Studios now lies in the hands of people who speak numbers rather than potential. You gotta show the potential. He didn't. And numbers matter. Which is why, like Sheridan, Gunn and his team might not have a future under David Ellison. Well, seems as the argument with Sheridan is he wanted to spend more money on a project, and Ellison's like, nah, and he thinks now in his case, he's had more success. You know, his shows were the biggest success for Paramount. But the new owners came in, yeah, well, we don't want to spend that kind of money. Well, then who wants some Sheridan goodies in NBC Universal? We do. Give them $1 billion. Well... See, numbers mattered to the artist as well. Like Sheridan, Gunn is also a bullish creator who likes his creative freedom and unwavering trust. That attitude clearly doesn't impress the incoming heads of Warner Brothers. The results don't impress them. The results.
That's going to matter. And he says, I need my artistic freedom. And you had it. You weren't that good at it. Although generally less liberal than many in Hollywood, James Gunn's political views lean left, a position that could cause more rifts with Ellison and the rest of the right-leaning hierarchy. The Ellisons aren't right-leaning. You know, they put their finger in the wind and saw Trump coming in, and there you go. That's all that is. With numbers, political views, and attitude all plus they can see the marketplace. The woke left business failed miserably. They kept chasing an audience that didn't exist. So the Ellisons, I guess we need to chase the one that does exist. That's what they're doing. Simple as that. James Gunn's contract at DC could only be renewed if David Ellison and company chose continuity rather than overhaul for the DC universe, which is in its infancy. Well, since no one really spent a lot of money on it or to see it and stuff, yeah, you could scrap it and start over. Yeah. Unfortunately, with Matt Reeves' rival Batverse doing so well because of the Penguin show, not the Batman movie, James Gunn's DCU could well be considered dispensable by the new regime. Yes, they'll always fall back on their big star, Batman. I mean, even early on, Zaslav was saying, yeah, we do have a plan B. And I thought, I bet it's just Batman movies. There you go. Unlike James Gunn, Matt Reeves' Batman had a television spinoff that really, in my opinion, saved the franchise, because that Batman movie had a lot of cool atmospherics and all that, mood and stuff, but it was not a good movie. The Penguin, on the other hand, was solid. That was great stuff. You get more of that in the Batman Part 2, and you really got something. And everybody would be really excited for a third film. So, yeah, that's what you do. It's just, well, we're just going to pay attention to Batman. Who's their big star? The other thing that, yeah, it is unfortunate. It's a bit hard. It was a bit of a mess. DC always does it. Warner Brothers does it. I don't know. It was the same with before, but in this case, you're in the position to where you would have to have two Batman competing with one another to have a proper DC universe. You're not going to have much of a DC universe. I know they've used it to center around Superman, and there's a lot to that. Superman's the founder of DC and all that, and superheroes overall. But Batman's the big star today. And if you're going to do that and there's no Batman, but that's the position they're in. So gee, I hope Matt Reeves can finish this up in time for us to, introduce our Batman. But in the meantime, you're limping along and stumbling around with your DC universe. You can't establish it to even be around by the time Reeves is finished, and you can introduce a new Batman. I mean, what if the Batman Part 2 is a massive success? Well over $1 billion. Dare I say $2 billion? And then he's like, oh, well, we're going to expand out of that. More HBO Max shows, Penguin Season 2, and maybe a Catwoman show, stuff like that, And then, the Batman 3. So you build out of all that. And then they're like, hey, Pattinson, how much to keep going? That'd be the other thing. But nevertheless, and then it's like the DCU, it's like, never mind. That's how that goes. Because that's where the money is. Anyway, according to the Hollywood Reporter, David Ellison said the new mega company after the merger will spend more than any other media company on film development and release up to 30 movies a year in the theaters. However, he didn't address the fears over looming layoffs nor any timelines on specific projects. So his opinion of Superman and DC Studios as a whole remains unclear. Well, look, if Man of Tomorrow is a massive success, which Warner Brothers already, even before the Nailsin Show, doesn't have much faith in it, because they're going to release Minecraft 2 within 2 weeks after the release of Man of Tomorrow. That's cutting into its time in the theaters. So it's going to have to hit the stratosphere day one. I'm dubious of that. So, yeah. But, fears of looming there's going to be layoffs. A lot. So, that's no mystery. James Gunn's co-chairman of DC Studios, Peter Safran, was present at the meeting. Well, there you go. You got one of them. Although it is unclear if he had a one-on-one meeting with the incoming CEO. Well, I did hear Ellison mention DC a lot, so they're very much aware of it and see it as important. So there is that. So there will be DC projects. We just don't know what they'll be exactly. Anyway, Paramount Skydance is under an obligation to complete the merger deal before September 2026 to avoid penalties that could see the price of the company go up by a reported 25 cents a share per quarter. Well, more details on the future of DC Studios and its current leadership will likely be known by then. Well, I would think so. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. Gunn's hanging out with the Guardians gals. Maybe he'll end up back there. Supergirl stumbling around drunk with her dog. And Superman, he's like, oh boy. Yeah, I know. Anyway, he's got $1 billion, so he's got nothing to worry about. And David Ellison, well, you got a lot of work to do, David. You wanted it, and it's yours now. So, James Gunn, well, I don't know. See, I thought this is like he's going to be the creative head of the DC, studios, what have you. Okay, but I never thought he was the guy to do Superman, and I think that's been borne out. Had he been the guy with the eye for talent and said, okay, you're taking over Superman, and I'm going to do my Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, and they got Jason Momoa to be Lobo, a role he was born to play. I long thought Gunn could totally do a great Lobo film. That's probably what he should have worked on. And then eventually you could have Superman and Lobo meet up for a big slugfest, which corresponds with DC lore, But I don't know. He had to be out in front, captain of the ship and all that, I guess. Plus, they'd already approached him. He initially turned Superman down when they approached him to come work for them and took on Suicide Squad. But I guess they approached him again. And so he wrote a script, and then he touched it up for, what you saw in the movies, which is more of a Justice League story than a Superman one. So I don't know. There's more reasons for him not to be re-signed to the contract. So then the mystery goes, well, what's the argument for keeping him? Just staying the course for now or something? I don't know. Supergirl's got to do good, really good. I doubt it. Clayface, probably won't even pay attention to it. And then Man of Tomorrow, it's got to do super great. And other than that, and by the time it comes out, they probably have already decided. So, oh well, good luck with that. Will James Gunn become DC's Taylor Sheridan? No, he's nowhere near the level of Taylor Sheridan. I mean, he's All right, this just isn't working. I don't know why there's an echo now. But I'm hearing an echo. Why not? So the best laid plans, and it just didn't work. So I apologize. There's all kinds of technical problems. And on my end, I couldn't hear almost none of what I was playing. I checked it on Rumble and YouTube, and it seemed to be playing all right. So I guess he got that. Those videos will be out on their own. And I don't know what this is. I really don't understand the echo. But, well, there it is. So I drew these pictures, Superman and James Gunn, and Ghost Rider. There we go. Apparently, what's his name? Ryan Gosling might be playing the character. I don't know if that fixed it. No, that probably just cut off the sound altogether. So I if it's look at that, it must be OBS. I don't know. I really can't do the drawing streams without it because I need it to be able to blow it up so you can see what I'm doing. Could do the Photoshop stuff without it, but unless I get a different camera and shove it in there, I don't know. Anyway, I can only do an hour at a time these days. There's something going on with my left leg, and it hurts a lot, and I have to get up and go. So I thought I could get an hour in, draw some pictures for you, give you a preview of some of the videos I've worked on. But it's not letting me do it. And again, I don't understand this damn echo. I guess I could turn it off from the browser. Still doesn't work. Doesn't work. Still echoes. It wasn't doing that previously. I don't understand. Well, mysteries never cease. So, thanks for watching. And I'm sorry I couldn't do a better show. It's just the way these things go, I guess. So have a good rest of your day. Hopefully yours will be a lot better than mine is. And should I even say I'll try again later? Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully find a way to talk to you soon.
Pop goes the culture. Pop, 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 pop goes the culture. Time now for commentary from Trixie Turner. Trixie?
Doug, studies show that most people avoid studying and opt to just make crap up.